It's so good.
You know, it's
called Dagobah Fondue.
Dagobah Fondue.
All the colors from Dagobah.
Yeah, it was muddy and weird, but it was great. So just things like that. I mean, I think vegetables are wonderful. You know, we're going to be very seasonality conscious.
And one of the conversations we had too was, you know, from my standpoint, and I have a lot of veggie and vegan friends, and you know, the complaint that I've heard so often is so much of like vegan and veggie cuisine is just trying to repeat what the meat eaters are eating,
Right.
as opposed to featuring the great vegetables and pastas and whatever that you're putting out there on its own for its own amazing qualities. And I know that we've been absolutely on the same page with that.
Absolutely.
And that as you've been investigating how far we can go with this, it's really played a huge part of your menu plan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you have to be conscious of. But yeah, like I said, we want to provide the exact same experience for everyone, no matter what your food preferences are. So there you go.
And to go back for just a minute I know Daniel asked about the private room dining, the prefix menus and all that. As we were talking about it, I think the fun thing for me too was we were talking about how we do have those different levels for not just where we're putting food in different places, but also the fact that we wanted to do some stuff that's very familiar, and we're kind of calling that our mobile menu at the moment. And then we have some of the, you know, the stuff that's going to be on our regular menu that's going to be, you know, pushing some boundaries, but letting people have some fun experiences and doing some cool stuff. And then you were talking about some of the, like, you want to put some of those tasting menus out there that are just like way out there and let people like really, really geek out about the food in the private room prefix stuff. And you did some of that sort of stuff when we did something for our Geek Fleet members from the Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
So could you talk about the menus that you did for those guys? Because I think that was so representative. And you can actually see some of the food that Tom did for these on our Facebook page. And if you go into the photo section, there's a whole bunch of photos from these. But talk about how you were able to start doing some of that stuff and how that was a test of some of the more innovative stuff that you want to do.
Right. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with prefix menus, fine dining, that sort of thing. So we want to be able to take that and be able to, you know, really, you know, kind of geek it out a little bit, but you know, have an upscale dining experience without the, you know, with I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, sorry, I get tongue-tied too much of this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of upscale things, you know, like one of the dishes we did was like a braised pork belly with a pea and truffle, like jus, and we also had Brussels sprout fondue into that, which is like charred Brussels sprouts with like a sort of a white sauce that kind of brings it all together. We did a course that I was calling the Heisenberg. I actually took blueberry jello and crystallized it, and you know, made chunks out of it, you know. And then we had a foie gras mousse that we dehydrated. So once you got it in your mouth, it was foie gras and blueberries, you know, which is a very classic thing, you know, foie gras and any sort of berry. So fun stuff like that, using you know, upscale ingredients. Like I said, multi-courses. We have these things called lightsabers, and basically it's a big thick straw stuffed with like creme fraiche and olives and, you know, foie gras mousse, and you just suck it out, and it's a really cool thing. So, you know, very much upscale oriented items, but not in a fun way. Isn't that?
Yes.
That's our big announcement for the day. Laura, you got something to tell us?
I'm gonna drop the mic, that's it. So these three people next to me, I don't know if you know them or not yet, but you will very soon, especially like in a couple seconds right now. Right to the left of me is David Zoltan. He's the food admiral, fleet admiral. Geek Bar. What does that mean exactly, David, first off?
Fleet Admiral is the highest title in Starfleet, so I adopted it for my own as the guy who does things and important things apparently. And I look officious and I run around as a mad scientist, so it seemed appropriate.
Right, so you're the mad scientist of Geek Bar, will do that, and the outfit is certainly appropriate for that. Right to his left is Tom Kern, who is the chef of Geek Bar.
I got more calls.
It should be. Man, I mean, food, of course it should be.
And formerly of that Happy Poutine Shop, which he says is coming back at some point after we get this Geek Bar rolling. And right to his, I don't know if you wanted to talk more about that or not, but that's for another day, I'm sure. And right to his left is Laura Green, who is the beverage director.
I'd like to point out that Laura's official title is the Queen of Drinky Things.
Very official.
Very nice. Get the business cards ready for that one. So this is coming in a few months, and it's going to be so many things. I mean, you guys, I don't know if you know about all the, if not, you should very soon, all the geeky things that are going to happen there. The screenings, the gaming nights, the guest speakers, just, many 2 floors of many different experiences for all of the things that are happening here at Geek Bar at C2E2 in one place. But the food and drink is going to be very impressive from everything that I've seen and talked to about with these guys, and that's mostly what we're here to talk about today. First of all, how, in general, how is the food and drink going to play into the geek theme of all of what's going on in Geek Bar? And that's a general question. We'll get started with that.
Sure, I guess I'll start us off. So, as I was starting to put everything together to do all this, we knew that as much as people are sci-fi geeks or technology geeks or whatever it is that you love, comic nerds, all that, geeks are also very interested in good food and good drinks. And there's no better way to experience all of the stuff you love than to be having a great experience on every single level. So when we met up with Tom, and Tom told us, you can't do this without us. And met with Laura and, just saw how impressive each of these amazing people are and how they could fit into what we were doing. We said, great, this is perfect. We're going to have food for food geeks, drinks for drink geeks, and we're going to brand it all in ways that are geeky and fun. And while we're going to be having some serious, cool food and beverage, we also want to be able to play with it too and make sure that you all have a chance to play with it. And so that's where we start off. That was the general philosophy from the start, and then these two geniuses have been taking it from there. Tom?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking to the point of what Dave was saying, to go a little deeper about the sort of the service style, we came up sort of with the idea of one-handed food, because we see a lot of people in there, gaming, playing games, board games, card games, whatever. So we want to keep it really simple, as far as the ideology of what you're going to get. We call it kind of family style, which is for example, one whole part of our menu, which is companions. Thank you. I lose words sometimes; they just kind of float around. There's a whole, one side of our menu, and it's things like, mini corn dogs and sliders and things like that. It sounds very simple, but it's going to be done in a very awesome way. Things you're not be able to get anywhere in the city. But to speak on that, so if there's 6 people at a table, you can order 6 individual sliders. Everything's individually priced. You don't all have to have the same thing. We're not going to lock you into well, you have to buy this. It's 3 crab cakes, and I have to buy 2 because there's 5. We want people to really be able to customize what they want. It's elevated bar food, to use a much overused phrase, but it's common and people understand it. So that's one part of it. And then we're going to have sort of like, don't quote me on small plates, but things like that that we're encouraging sharing as well. So our entire menu is really based around communal feeling, situation, kind of family style atmosphere where, you know, it's very casual, but, you know, it's going to be a really great food experience, I think. So, lots of drinks.
Drinking drinks. So the drink program, the bar program, is very geeky, nerdy in specifically two ways. So the first way is actually, you know, the most obvious way that the cocktail menus are named after, you know, different doctors or different video games or, you know, that sort of lore. The other side is that we want to bring in as much product that is interesting and weird as we can. So, like I just did a Compass Box Scotch tasting at noon the other day, which proved to be a great day. But bringing in product that's not quite as run-of-the-mill as you would find in other bars. Focusing on that sort of thing, Compass Box specifically being very, very delicate and interesting Scotch, like cool blends, and very mindful as they craft it. Really, really like it. And then I'm lucky enough sometimes to find products that are a combination of the two. Like, I found a gin called River Rose, right? And so I was like, oh, I hope it's delicious. I hope it's delicious. And it is so delicious. So it is so good, like rosy and lavender, and then you have like a bit of juniper coming in. Oh, it's so good. So that, you know, makes me all tingly because it means I can do a lot with it. Not only that, but it sits on our shelf looking awesome, and someone can sit down and go, that's cool. I get that joke. So yeah, so it's, there's a lot of ways to incorporate, you know, geek into beverage. Our bar menu is going to be as like, you know, New Holland's dragon milk, like that'll be on tap because it's delicious and it's dragon's milk. But when I interviewed with these guys, the first thing I said was that ultimately everything has to be delicious. You know, we can put, you know, molecular blah blah into this and name it this and all that stuff. None of that matters if it tastes like crap. So that is, yeah, fist pump, yeah. So you can expect that everything will be yummy, and then I'll find a way to get the nerd in there. In a good way.
And I think some of the really brilliant stuff too comes in where these things start to overlap too. When we start talking about, you know, where Laura's doing some really cool stuff with the bar program, and then mentions something to Tom, and Tom goes, I totally need to use that in this dish I'm thinking about, and that's happened at least a dozen times a week at least. So I mean, there's a lot of collaboration. Just a couple weeks ago, I sent off an email where I was like, we have to do a Winchester special. It's a burger and whiskey, and a salad and whiskey.
And pie, don't forget the pie.
And pie with whiskey.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of cool stuff we can do where we can collaborate and we can use some sort of like special tasting thing that you'll be able to go, cool. You're like, this is the special for the day, and I'm going to order my Winchester special while watching Supernatural on the TV and having fun talking about all, you know, my favorite.
There is that Leviathan IPA too that I was eyeballing.
So yeah, and as we go along, Tom, I know we've talked to you about doing some special menus that change on even a daily basis based off of what the activities are at the bar. So, you know, like the Winchester special, you've talked about wanting to do some special stuff where it's Dr. Who night and you come up with some cool stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? And even how some of the other, like, tastings are going to be going on and say, like, the private ones?
Right. If we're doing nothing other than something that's definitely thematic. So yeah, you know, speaking of, you know, if it's you know, trilogy night or something, then, you know, we're gonna have, you know, Han Solo something frozen in liquid nitrogen. I mean, you know, things like that. And we're really gonna, you know, kind of get deep with it, and, you know, geeky, dorky, but thematic for sure. And also, to speak about what Dave said as well, we're going to have, you know, the menu I was talking about earlier, that's, you know, kind of the bar menu. But we have 3 private dining rooms upstairs. And those are going to be mainly what we're going to try to focus on, like prefix menus, multi-course menus, so you can have a little bit more upscale experience as well. You know, I think those menus can be modified based on, you know, what the guests want, what the party wants. Also, yes, there will be frozen things and bubbles and, you know, vapor and all sorts of stuff, because it is a Geek Bar. We have to be scientific. Another thing, speaking on that as well, is, you know, like Laura said, you can do whatever you want to. You can throw it into space, let it rain back down, but if it doesn't taste good, it's worthless. So what we want to do is, you know, Chicago is great for restaurants that do all this sort of thing. We don't want to focus on that sort of stuff, but it's definitely related to sort of what we're doing in the scientific element of what we're driving here. And when I talk about this, you know, doing instead of like having a lot of time, spending a lot of money, you know, spending having food based on that sort of thing, having like a 3-course menu that you can have really funky experimental things, share with drinks, you know. So it's like you have a small version of something that, you know, is really cool and fun, and you decide, you know, they're not going to focus on that. Because we want to be able to give many different levels of service. You know, you have advertising, you have, you know, like shareable media, you know, you have the private dining room, also the kind of food private room down there, which is going to be off on that level. And we haven't, you know, we're not exactly the menu that kind of go like that, but we're thinking something like your mom's basement, maybe like a tea tasting, or, you know, different ways to do it. You know, any kind of things, but those will be very relevant. Dave can talk more about what is really, you know, sort of keep it on. You know, but yeah, we want to give people. You want to come in and have a mellow little snack and drinks, that's cool. You want to take it a little further, that's cool. You want to take it a little further, then that's great too. So we want to have a little something for everyone, you know, and we want to stick with, you know, the promise of what we are trying to represent and create, and we just want everyone to be happy.
A little accent of that truffle powder where you were able to infuse the flavor into it, and then it just kind of melted into everything else. You know, we haven't really figured out if that's going to end up on the menu, but just the fact that we were playing with it, I think, was so much fun, and we'll be able to do some of that sort of stuff with Laura as well, and start to play with like some of the little. I remember you sent me something about the little like Jello. Yeah, it was almost like a Jello shot in a little ball or whatever.
Those little Jello shots in the walls, and then there was like booze gummies that you just take.
Yeah.
Probably like I shouldn't say that, but don't make a mess. But it's like, you know, you double boil down gummy bears or gummy something, then you add the
gelatin, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you reconstitute it, and boom, you have Tetris ice cube. You have like a, you know, a Death Star sized booze gummy something. We don't want to
Is
eat
it going to be like size or shape? That's fine.
The poison apple.
The poison apple, oh yeah, like that kind of thing.
Actually, and where like these two start to get to play with like that sort of stuff is like you can do this like gummy thing that you bite into, and then talk about that dessert, that's no moon pie.
Yeah, that was the first thing we talked about, and it's still in the works. It's not perfected yet, but imagine a chocolate mold of the Death Star, okay?
Yeah.
With all the ingredients of moon pie inside of it. It comes to your table and you get to break it open. And you destroy the Death Star. Or you have more caramel sauce that you pour over it and melts, you know. So that was the first thing we talked about, and it's still like #1 on the list. I'm working on it. It's not as easy as it sounds. But there will be something where you destroy the Death Star, I promise. I wanted flames involved, but the responsible guy says probably not.
I'm okay with flames. We're figuring out how to do that. I mean, hey, if Greek restaurants can do sabanaki, why can't we set things on fire ourselves, right? Yeah?
Yes.
classically known dishes. Like you're talking about, so I wrote a cocktail list called The Classics. That is classic cocktails meet classic games. I know a lot of you already know me. I love my classic games, like Mario and Burger Time. Tapper. So I wrote this cocktail list, and I have one called Chasing Ghosts. That is a riff on a classic sidecar. So it's sidecar being like a cognac or a brandy if you want to. Oh shit. So it's like a cognac, you have lemon, and then you have some sort of curacao, like a Combier or Cointreau or God knows what, and the glass is rimmed with sugar. So I took that, and I did Cointreau, or like the cognac, a Combier, like the curacao, and then, lemon, and then a raspberry liqueur. And I rim the glass, and it makes this like raspberry sidecar, but then I cut a lemon wheel, and I put a mouth out of it, so it looks like a Pac-Man. Then I took 4 raspberries, and they chase each other around the glass. Then, chasing ghosts. Then Tom had the idea to nitro freeze the raspberries so that as they're served, they go from white back to red. Oh. So you get this like delicious thing, but it's clever as can be. And like I hope when people eat our food and drink our drinks, we just hear this like. I hope that's the sound of Geek Bar. That we make delicious jokes and you laugh at them with your
So Laura, everybody I'm sure here knows of a little book called Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
And you had a pretty brilliant idea for the Verata serum, the potion that causes people to tell the truth.
It looks like water, it's like, colorless, So,
tell us the full ingredient list for Verata serum.
It's a Blanco tequila served neat. And so since you're here, don't tell anyone this. Let's confine this to this room. Because I still want it to be a joke.
And the internet.
And oh, Jesus. So I'm coming up with multiple cocktail lists. And each cocktail list has a different theme. They're kind of incestuous. So I'll have a Harry Potter list that, some of those cocktails might be in another list and all that. So we'll be able to rotate that. When we have events, we'll be able to handpick what cocktail list we want to use. So I really want a Justice League America list. And so I'll have a different cocktail for each superhero. I have my Wonder Woman, I have my this. But for Aquaman.
How you were able to start doing some of that stuff and how that was a test of some of the more innovative stuff that you want to do.
Right. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with prefix menus, fine dining, that sort of thing. So we want to be able to take that and be able to, really, kind of geek it out a little bit, but have an upscale dining experience without the, with I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, sorry, I talked about too much of this. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of upscale things, One of the dishes we did was a braised pork belly with a pea and truffle, jus, and we also had a Brussels sprout fondue under that, which is charred Brussels sprouts with a sort of a white sauce that kind of brings it all together. We did a course that I was calling the Heisenberg. I actually took blueberry Jello and crystallized it, and made chunks out of it, And then we had a foie gras mousse that we dehydrated. So once you got it in your mouth, it was foie gras and blueberries, which is a very classic thing, foie gras and any sort of berry. So fun stuff like that, using upscale ingredients. Like I said, multi-courses. We have these things called lightsabers. And basically it's a big thick straw stuffed with creme fraiche and olives and foie gras mousse, and you just suck it out, and it's a really cool thing. So very much upscale-oriented items, but not in a fun way. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that we had a lot of fun with that.
We had a lot of fun.
And I think that it definitely shows where we can take some of that traditional sort of fine dining and just geek it out and
Absolutely.
have total fun with it.
Yeah, things that are familiar, things that you can get somewhere else, but you turn it on its ear and make it our own, make it something fun and something people talk about and look forward to.
Right, and done in like a casual way, so you're not going to be all stuffy. Like
Exactly,
like,
yeah. I think the era of that sort of fine dining is gone. But the casual way to produce and present those same type of items, that same experience, something unique and something delicious and something that's, topical, that's what we want to do.
Right, and that's, like Laura said, I mean, it's all about, it's got to be delicious, right? It's got to be, that's the number one thing. Some of the cool thing that I found looking at the menu is just how clever you guys are. Like with all of these different sections, the name of the dishes, like what is like I'm curious for me, like what is the process for this, like coming up with like all of this like awesome, clever names for drinks and dishes and sections and everything?
So,
yeah.
Laura has been doing a lot of the naming for the cocktails on her own. Tom's a huge Star Wars geek and Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and a couple other things, but probably doesn't have quite as much.
They're all things you just watch and don't participate in.
But he's probably spent a little bit too much time in the kitchen and not enough time like reading comic books and stuff like that. So he's actually been getting some help from our idea man, Matt Wolf, who's over there in the audience. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
To just kind of like take some of the amazing food that Tom comes up with and go, oh, that's perfect for this. But at the same time, we've also come to him with some stuff and been like, hey, like when you did the Heisenberg dish, we were like, we want to do something that's like blue meth. So, like, let's do something like that. And Tom's just kind of like riffed on it and played with it and started to do cool things. So I think we've gone both directions with that, really, Daniel. And I think that's really cool. And the more that we're able to be in the same space and kind of working on stuff and, we see, oh, wait, that's really successful, people really love this, I think we're just going to kind of take it to that next level and keep going with it every single day. And try to remember all of our different families too. So, at some point we'll put some anime stuff on the menu. We'll have some stuff, some more stuff for comic book nerds. We'll have some more stuff for video games, like current video games. And that'll kind of propagate itself throughout the cocktail menus, the food menus, the tasting menus, all that sort of stuff. And we'll be able to collaborate on, hey, I'm working on this, let's figure that out, and then we can put that out there to you guys, and all on the same day, and you just geek out about, the comic book menu on Wednesday as you grab your stash from, Third Coast Comics or wherever, and go out to Geek Bar and are like, reading my Guardians of the Galaxy, and even, the whatever. Drinking and whatever, and but it'll all kind of come together and be a cohesive experience.
And as far as naming the cocktails and making the cocktails, that comes from a few places. So sometimes I'll find something that I want to make a cocktail with. So I found a barrel-aged dark rum. And I was like, oh, that's rad. It's like a whiskey drinker's rum. So I'm like, cool, I can do something like that. So let's think about rum, let's think about something with barrels, and I was like, oh, where there's barrels is Donkey Kong.
Yes.
So I started playing with making an old fashioned with a barrel-aged rum with an ice cube in the middle that has a slice of banana frozen inside. So so playing off of that kind of stuff. And going the other way too, years ago I used to be bored behind the bar, and I would tweet out to the people who were following me, give me a character, give me a video game, give me a movie, give me a something, and I'll make a cocktail for it. So that's how I passed my time, which I didn't know that it would prep me for another job, which is really awesome. But also so I'll have an intention to be I want to make a Princess Peach cocktail. What goes into that? Okay, so I'm going to have to put something peachy, but she's not, you know, she's kind of got balls about her, so I'm going to make it a little, like, something about it's going to be like a meaty quality. So use like a barrel-aged gin, add some grapefruit, add some peach liqueur, Prosecco. So it's this like dainty cocktail with, you know, with a little guts to it. We call it another castle, the princess is another castle. So it's not necessarily the Princess Peach cocktail, it's about the journey of chasing her, you know. So it kind of goes both ways. So, I mean, that being said, if you want to see a cocktail, if you want to see a name for something, like, holler back. You know, like, I'll have fun with that.
Cool. And what for these you're working on the theme nights, are you talking about like one-off things or like recurring theme nights that are going to happen like monthly, weekly? Like what are you thinking for that?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a fantastic events calendar that's been put together in large part through the direction of our experienced agent Ryan Vaughn. 001337. So Ryan spearheaded that project, and we have an entire events calendar of stuff that includes monthly events, your monthly cosplay contest, or your weekly comic book night, or the geek karaoke or movie-oke. And so we've got an entire calendar that's already forming. We're also going to be reaching out to the community very soon, and working with meetup groups and special organizations and folks like AnimeChicago.com and all these various folks that are out there to put some really amazing stuff together so that you can come in and it's a special night, and we're working with other folks in the community to make a really incredible experience for your group, whether that's brown coats or the Johnny Depp fan club, whatever it happens to be. But we know that there are a ton of people out there doing your cool stuff, and we're working with you. So if we know that we've organized something with the Brown Coast where we're going to do a special screening of Serenity, and where we'll have you guys in, and we'll do an entire cocktail menu and some special food on the menu. That's all going to be around Firefly and Serenity.
And also, in that same vein, also collaborating with the food and beverage community in this city. And what's so awesome about this community of bars and restaurants is that I never